Hi there, folks. Simon here. Welcome back to the 2024 April Beginner TAC Tournament. This is the finals match between Vogopolis and GoldenGeneral. These folks have both beaten their respective group stages and have also come out victorious in the semi-finals round. Now, the only thing that separates these players from victory, a crown, and the ultimate prize and first pick of those prizes is each other. So, we are going to watch a match here. Game one is going to be just like every other game that we've had in this tournament so far. It's going to be on a 6x6 board with a 15-minute timer and a 10-second increment, meaning that 10 seconds gets added to your time after every turn. This game does not include Comey, and if you don't know what Comey is, doesn't matter. We're not using it. So, I'm trying to think of anything else that's special about this one. First pick of the prizes goes to first place. They do have a 2-game match, and in order to come out victorious, you've got to win both games. And if you do not win both games, if in fact you guys each win one game, then they have to play a blitz tiebreaker match, meaning that they have to play 2-game matches with a 3-minute clock and a 5-second increment until somebody wins both games in the match. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think one of these guys is going to come out victorious. I don't know who it would be just yet, but I think one of them will. But without any further ado whatsoever, let's jump right into game one of Vogopolis versus GoldenGeneral. Vogopolis in white, GoldenGeneral in black. And again, game one of the finals of this beginner tournament. And there we go. We see an A1 placement. Will we see opposite or adjacent corners? We see adjacent corners. Vogopolis going straight into a corner connection. An interesting opening we don't really see too often. But now working his way up. Does have momentum here. Now, I like a capstone at d4, and that's exactly what Vogopolis played here. Capstone at d4 is great positioning. Follows a lot of the guidelines we talk about in the capstones video of TAC University. Very, very quick play here early on. White really focusing on that vertical threat. Black does have that d3 square, however, and now an f3 wall that can come over onto that e3 flat and really ruin White's day in terms of that vertical threat. We may be seeing a d2 placement from White to counteract that, or we could be seeing an f4. I like an f4 because f4 connects to the right-hand half of the board, making an anchor point, going for that horizontal line. But also if that wall comes left, then White can build around at f3 and still go for the vertical playing around it. So a dual-pronged threat, and that's exactly what White does here, playing that f4. That's a good one. Black doesn't have that capstone out yet. No capstone placement just yet. Speak of the devil. There it is. Capstone at c5. Capstone at c5 doesn't really do too much here. And it's a little on the outside, but not a bad positioning, I don't think. It could certainly be worse. White now making a threat, forcing a capture of some kind. That wall does come over. This is where I expect an f3 placement to happen, but it doesn't. Instead, we see a c6. And I think the reason for that is because Black is going for that vertical, and White wanted to cut off that vertical threat by placing up there and going for that horizontal themselves. Now we may see that f3, and certainly we do. Dropping out behind that wall. Now, if Black drops another wall at f2, that effectively kills this vertical line. And white's going to have to go for something else. But that would be... Oh, white's able to make a road. Black completely missed the threat entirely. And white's able to make a road here in 5 minutes, 11 turns. Very, very quick. Very quick there. Definitely got to feel bad there for GoldenGeneral missing that quick road. But well played there to Vogopolis, taking advantage of that misstep. And congratulations to Vogopolis for winning game 1 of this 2-game match. Let's see if GoldenGeneral can kick it in gear here and tie things up. I bet he's going to be extra on guard in this second game here. I'm not going to let one of those road misses happen again. All right, and we're back with game 2, GoldenGeneral versus Vogopolis. GoldenGeneral in white, Vogopolis in black. Ready to go. And we see f6 played. And will we see the hug? Or opposite corners? Adjacent, maybe? What's the play? Adjacent corners. White going for center control here. Not going to go for the knight's opening. This is an opening that Vogopolis is familiar with. He has been playing in quite a few beginner tournaments over the past few years. Never quite making it out of one. I believe I even saw him at the Gen Con tournament in person. Ooh, there's that early capstone there from black. I like that capstone placement. Good capstone placement. That's a good counter to this center control mirrored opening that we talk about in the openings video of TAC University. And it also follows those capstone guidelines that we talk about. So doing a lot of good things here. This is where you could see black continue on. You could see black play at something like e3, but that would invite the capstone from white to drop at e4. Not going to do that. Going to continue playing there at b4, making that straight line across. White brings that capstone right there. This is where, if I'm black, I'm probably going to want to play at like an a3 here and focus on going for a vertical now that that capstone is in the way of my horizontal. And a vertical on the left-hand side would be pretty good. White doesn't really have anything there except for that b3 flat. And you'd be killing the momentum that white already has, which works out pretty well. Instead, black going to play up there at e5 and white playing at e4. Interesting. Now I can see black dropping a flat at e3. Come up with it, maybe go for a threat horizontally, but I still like a3 the most. White is still going for a horizontal line here. They're building up the potential for a vertical with maybe a d2 placement, something like that, but white's still very much going for that horizontal line here. Now playing at e2. Still looks like they're going for the horizontal, but also playing for that vertical potential, though not as direct as I would have thought. Black playing at f4. Going to be able to make a threat here on the following turn, playing it at a4. I think that once an a4 drops, that capstone on d5 is definitely coming down onto d4. Oh, it's coming down even earlier than that. Will we see maybe like a d5 fill in here to go around the capstone for your own horizontal? Or is black finally going to play something like a3 to cut off that horizontal themselves? I do like d5 because white's Vertical is now developing more, and d5 helps cut that off. Does go for that. White playing to keep black from there. That's and also works for their vertical line as well. Looking good here for white. We may see GoldenGeneral come up with a comeback here and take this into a blitz tiebreaker. Vogopolis is playing a bit slower than GoldenGeneral. GoldenGeneral is still in that increment phase, basically. Black playing up at b5. That does work towards the horizontal. I can see a d6 placement looking pretty good here for white. Setting up for that c5 right capture. If you're thinking c5 right, what is he talking about? That is FCD, or flat count, or no, that's not FCD. That is PTN, or portable tack notation. That's how we describe tack moves. And that wall feels incredibly unnecessary and also basically like a hindrance to white at this point. White is so far ahead on momentum, doesn't really need to worry about that in the slightest, but drops the wall anyway. This may come back to bite them. Might be giving up the momentum that they need in order to keep this this threats alive. White's horizontal is also still looking pretty good. White's got a lot going for him at this point. Black does go for that a5 placement, pushing for a road here. Not a threat just yet. White comes over with that wall. Now there's really very little hope of a road here for black. Got to be able to play at d6 and e6 before they can even make a threat. Whereas white still very much has that that vertical line going and the horizontal line going. Got a lot going for him right now. The pressure is on. Not sure what black's gonna go for here. I like the idea of d6, e6. I feel like d6 helps cut off that vertical line that white's going for. It's tough to say though. Yeah, d6 feels like the better choice here. Because if black does cut things off in the horizontal by bringing that capstone down onto c3, white's going to go for the vertical. And so you want to cut off that vertical first. But no, going to play down at c3 and go for this this vertical right away. That is unexpected. Now, for white, based on the play that I've seen from him so far, I don't expect a d6 placement. I expect a d2, and that's what they played. A very reactive move, I would say. Much like that wall placement at f5 was a very reactive move, not going for their original plan here, not sticking with playing for that momentum as much. This does work towards momentum and making a threat in the horizontal, but that threat is so easily cut off by that capstone capture that it doesn't do much. Now this is where things get tricky, because white has finally played down at d1, knowing that they can make a threat by placing at d6. And so if black comes down with the capstone or plays up at b6 or a6, white can play at d6 and make that threat right away. Black does go for the b6 placement. This is super risky here. White is able to make a threat. And it is so close to Tinue for white. So close. Yeah, that is wild how close they are. I'm fairly certain it isn't Tinue, but it is dang close. He's thinking about it. He's trying to come up with some game plan. Does play for the d6. We'll see what black does to get out of this. I see a few methods. That is not one of them. That actually works fairly hard. Oh, actually, that does work pretty well. I didn't think about that. Capturing right with c3 is a road for black. So that wouldn't work. And placing at e3 to renew is also giving black a road here. Gotta capture up with d3, so it does interrupt the threat. Nice spot there. That was a good spot from Vogopolis there. Not quite as close to Chinue as I was thinking, apparently. Black comes down. This is another threat. Placing at c4 would be a road. A capture up with b3 might be the play here, or a capture left with d1. One of those will probably be the move to make. I mean, a flat at c4 totally does work. Not as strong, but totally works, and that's exactly what they go for. More flats, more better, as we are wont to say. Black making another threat here, placing at a3, able to come right with that a3 onto b3 for the road. This is not looking bad for black, actually. Things have turned around. White is so close to being able to make a threat, but not there just yet. White captures left. Will we see black place at a4, which will not renew the threat, but will set them up to renew on the following turn? Because if they do that, white is then able to make a threat by placing at d2 or something like that. This is not a threat from black. It is placing at c4. I don't know about the c4 placement so much. A4 feels like it would be a lot better. But how will white respond? Will they respond with a d2 placement? d2 does make a threat for white. So that threat for white may cause black to decide to capture over onto that d3 stack with the capstone. No, instead white comes left with their own capstone. Surprising me. Okay. At this point, if I'm black, I need to play at a4 because white has the vertical and the horizontal options there. And if you take away by playing at a4, you're going for your own vertical, and you're also taking away their anchor point options for that horizontal. So then they'd just be stuck with the vertical threat, which you have a capstone next to one of their stacks. They can take that out at a later time if needed. So an a4 flat here looks pretty good. A4 flat is what happens. Not a threat for black. Important to note, not a threat for black. It's really close to one. White dropping the wall. I think a flat at b2 here is what I would go for as black. No, capture's right. This is a threat, and it takes it away from that wall. White's gonna have to capture left with that c5 stack, c5 flat up here, or capture up with the b5 or the b4. Yeah, gotta capture onto b5 basically. Miss the threat. Black's able to take this win by moving right with a4, takes it with another road. That is game 2 going to Vogopolis. And congratulations to Vogopolis for winning game 2 and winning the whole match in this April 2024 beginner TAC tournament. So congratulations to you. And well played there, GoldenGeneral. Good effort. But unfortunately, both games ended to a missed road. But that is sometimes how the cookie crumbles. But that's not all where this TAC action goes. There is more where that came from. We have plenty of tournaments that we play over lots of time. We play beginner tournaments and intermediate tournaments and open tournaments and even 7x7 tournaments. And we have the members tournament coming up. So many tournaments. And if you want to know what's coming up and what you can sign up for right now, head on over to playtac.com to check that out, which is where we're playing this. Look, you can see the events that are open at the moment. Look at all these events. Look at them all. But instead, we're going to look at this board. But thank you all for watching. And that is all for today. But be sure to check out the description below for all things TAC, especially the TAC Discord server, which is the community hub and where you can find all sorts of TAC resources like strategy guides and people to play with. Whether that be right here on playtac.com or asynchronously through the Discord server itself, plenty of great resources and people to play with right there. So be sure to check that out. And until next time, have a great day and happy tacking.